a sense of community when you're free. Rolling through the mountains, rolling through the valley, rolling through paradise with me.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the show. Well, my guest today, like a lot of people, has a number of different careers. She is an online coach at Three Roads Fitness and something else, but I'm going to wait until you meet her to talk about that. Time to welcome Nina Wilder. Welcome to the show, Nina.
Hello. Thanks for having me, Nancy.
For sure. I just want to let people know you're in Alberta, right?
I am, yes, Calgary.
Calgary, Alberta. Yeah, for sure. So tell me about getting involved in fitness.
How I got involved in fitness?
Mm-hmm.
That styles way back to when I was 18. I had just started university, and it's a little bit of a sad story. I had wanted to go into the theater program. And so when I had auditioned after you have to take a year of courses and then audition, it's this big thing. Everybody in the department's kind of like gears up for it. And I was one of two people that did not get in. So everyone else got in. So it was a big identity crisis at the time. So because of my whole childhood, I wanted to be an actor. So I had like a change of pace. And I had at the time, I had a bunch of friends that worked in the fitness industry, and I had a part-time job as a weight room attendant in the SFU Fitness Center. So just as the front desk. So I completely pulled a 180, and I'm like, you know what, I'll just focus on this. I became a personal trainer, a group fitness instructor. I taught boot camp, step, aerobics, trained clients, and I just fell completely into fitness as a way of coping with all that kind of stuff. So, and it did me well. Fitness has definitely done a lot of good things for me.
Can't hurt, that's for darn sure.
This is true.
When did you start teaching or coaching online?
Coaching online actually has just started recently. I mean, I had during COVID flipped my clients into Zoom training. So I did do the Zoom sessions, and I was more comfortable with that only because I knew these clients, the way their body moves. Because normally I like to make sure that my clients move safely. So that was fine. But for online coaching, I moved to Calgary back in April. And then Kyle, my partner, he had been running this business for 3 years. And I think just because the nature of my other pursuits are very sporadic, he's like, why don't you come on board, since you're already a certified trainer and yada, yada, yada. So I started in September with him, Three Roads Fitness.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So do you have a type of client, or does it vary widely?
I mean, obviously I'd be willing to train anyone. I think the bracket of people that I won't train, that I'll refer away, are athletes, people that are trying to get high performance sports, just because like it's not my cup of tea. Like I'm not really interested in learning how to shave off, a half a second to your run. Mm-hmm. I really love working with people that are beginners, that are terrified of the gym, people that don't have confidence, because that speaks to my journey, and I feel like I can coach that way better. So I do try and market myself towards people that are just trying to build strength, build confidence, build self-esteem, and just get more women in the gym
I was just thinking about online as opposed to in person for like in a group setting for people who are maybe overweight, consider so, and they're uncomfortable in crowds. And I'm thinking
totally
that would work better for them on Zoom, would it?
Definitely possible. Yeah. Because there's that level where you're not ready to work around the bro crowd. And I totally get it. Like some gyms are better than others for that. Like some are just very, very welcoming, very community center-y. Others are very exactly like we all picture and make jokes of. It's like, get out of my way if you're not lifting free. And it's like, yeah, you don't own the place. And I hate that, by the way. I hate that because it's like the gyms are designed to be a very space to help people to get more fit. So it should be welcoming. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that being said, online is definitely helpful for that. We do, obviously, online coaching is very personal. So if we can't get you to a gym and give you a workout program at the gym, we'll give you a home workout. But I do like to graduate my clients to feel more confident. As soon as they know how to move machines, I find like they know how to operate them, they feel like they can own the space, it's just a really nice thing to see. It's very validating.
Right. Yeah. I was just thinking, because I'm one of those people that when I was heavy, I would never have gone into a gym. As a matter of fact, I decided to join Weight Watchers, but I decided to lose the weight before I joined.
But doesn't that seem counterintuitive to you? Like, I mean, the gym should be that very space to help you. It makes it easier. Oh my God.
Yeah. But it's about ego. That's ego, you know? It
is, right? It totally is. And I did actually write, and I think actually I do blame the fitness industry a lot for this, because I wrote an article for one of the fitness magazines, CanFit Pro, back in October 2019, nice. About equity in fitness, because even how trainers talk stigmatizes bodies of a certain shape, which is completely against what we're mandated to do. Like, we're mandated to help people towards healthy living. It's not about judgment. It's not about shaming. It's not about, burn off your dinner and feel guilty for what you eat. And like, it's just all that's completely toxic, useless talk. So, so I did write an article about how we need to change the game about how we approach fitness and health towards someone, and finding better standards of measure for health parameters as opposed to just body shape and the number on the scale. It is not helpful. It does not serve you. So it's about how you feel, your energy levels, your strength numbers, your blood profiles, like things like that, because that way it doesn't feel as stigmatizing when you are a certain size. It's just about enabling you to do the things that you need to do to feel good about yourself. And usually in the case, it's not aesthetic.
And stop my experience. Men who are pretty and women who are pretty and really nicely built, and stop that.
Exactly. And we talk about this. And now, interestingly, my journey has I've had a crazy journey with toxic fitness culture and dieting and food restrictions, all that. Being with Kyle, my partner, he's done a lot of work on himself, where he's lost 200 pounds, and he was 400 pounds overweight, and he lost all of that because he was in a very dark place, and he feels very empowered now. But he's also has this big dream about being a bodybuilder. So now I'm back in this game of bodybuilding, and bodybuilding is very interesting because it does focus on aesthetic. So I had to navigate like how I felt about that, because the problem with bodybuilding is that image of those people that are tanned and bronze and lean, those are the people that are being posed as this is what healthy looks like, which is not true. It is not true. Like, yes, they've eaten some good things to be that lean, but like they're so lean that it's actually not good for you. And a good coach would recognize that. That's the point. That's the sport. Right. That is not healthy. That is not the picture of health. So it's just an interesting coming full circle in my journey, where I'm at a good place with fitness to be exposed to this culture again. But yeah.
And again, that's almost like a career in itself, right?
It is. It really is. Yeah. Man, when you start to be fit and healthy, it's very simple. To be like bodybuilding, it's about measuring and weighing, and it gives it so much thought work to just basic meals. So it is a lot to take on. But I don't recommend it for everybody.
Now let's look at your alter ego, so to speak.
My Lord, yeah, go ahead, Dan.
Go ahead. You just put it out there. What do you do?
My thing, okay, so fitness has always been kind of my side hustle, but my main love is stand-up comedy, which I know you know.
So, yeah, I used to do it, for a while. But
did you?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I'm a late bloomer. I started in my 50s for some reason.
But you know what's great about that? So I'm teaching stand-up comedy for seniors right now as a seniors group. And nice. I love, because like and this is why stand-up is such a beautiful thing. I love listening to people that have had life experiences that have way more to say and way more to talk about, because that's the beauty in stand-up comedy. It's hardly the case we really want to listen to the 18-year-old going, my life sucks. Like, nah, you're fine. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you got life. Like, you have no idea. But listening to like women who are like even 50 plus talk about how women after a certain point seem to be like forgotten about or pushed aside. It's like, oh, listening to that is just like it's so empowering. And so I love seeing that on the stage. But anyways, I hope you get back to it. No,
I won't. I went from that to improv for a while, which oh my gosh, I love
nice.
a lot more because I really enjoy working off of somebody, you know. And
totally.
We had a really good team going, and then COVID came in, but I won't get back to it. But because I start to lose my edge, and you have to know when to stop. I think, you know.
Okay.
But I just want to say that one of my friends was Canada's first female comedian way back in the day.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Lori James. Lori's in her 80s, and when she goes, she's been on with Yo's team, like the ladies' night, and you can see the difference with her and then the younger people. She appeals to all of the ages.
I bet.
And the younger people appeal to the younger people, in my opinion.
Exactly. Yeah, mostly that's what I've seen too. Yeah, absolutely.
So tell me about your comedy. Like, do you have a style? Do you call it a style?
Man, stand-up was an interesting journey too. So I started in 2016. And you know what? I was again trying to go back to being an actor. I was trying to get an agent, do all things, never was successful. So I thought, you know what, screw it. I'm just gonna do what I for some reason, interesting, Nancy, it was either improv or stand-up. I felt like I wanted to pursue one thing, to focus on one thing. And I think I actually led to stand-up because I was such a loner. And so I felt like I wasn't ever cool enough to be in part of the improv crowd. So I went for stand-up, and what I loved about stand-up too is that a lot of it was writing, and I've been a writer my whole life. I've journaled since I was 10, so I love that idea of kind of just huddling over your notebook and scratching out things that you felt, and I've had such a history of like people pleasing and staying quiet and being mute and being a loner, that stand-up was like, oh my God, I have a microphone in my hand and everybody's listening to me. Like, it was just like, so as I've grown into stand-up comedy, I've noticed that my style's I'm very animated. Like, you'll see, like every time I get there's professional photographers there, I'm always like, here we go. Cause it's always like pictures of me, like just big expressions and big movements. Cause I am just so excited to finally be seen. I think that's where that comes from. And I often wear my hair up in like a little bun, and everyone's like, you're kind of like Tinkerbell. You just fill up with emotion. It's so true.
It's interesting how we get started, right? Because I actually started doing some stage work, doing the vagina monologues.
Oh, nice. Oh, and yeah.
I'm like you, when I found that place on stage, it's like, OMG, this is where it's supposed to have been all these years.
Oh, yeah. You know? Oh, yeah.
Right? And it was just fantastic. And the best part about being part of Vagina Monologues way back when, I did a number of shows, but towards the end, they gave me, here I am. I'm in at that time I was in my 60s, shortest person on the team, walking on stage. And you know what word they gave me? The C word. It was beautiful.
I love it. Well, I mean, there's another woman that I love and adore. She was an early inspiration in comedy when I was first getting started. More seriously, her name's Paula Howley. She lives in Vancouver Island now, and she has a very interesting life. She recently did the Vagina Monologues, and I bring her up because she's got such a history. She grew up with she married a man that was very deeply religious, and they since separated, which was funny because before that she was a stripper. So she's had this black and white life existence. Yeah. But then because this religious guy, he was so hardcore about it that he decided to disown their daughter, who was coming out as gender fluid. Like there was, he identified some.
Yeah.
So she was like, I'm done with you. If you don't want to accept our child, I'm done. So she can't. So she left that, and she's since gone on to FetLife and discovered stand-up comedy and was embracing her love of sexuality. So she's like, my life is kind of like a religious deli meat with a slut sandwich. It's just, she has a really, I can't remember how she says it, but she's a really fast person to interview, perhaps.
I understand that. Listen, I grew up very Roman Catholic, followed all of the religious teaching and everything, but I'll tell people I'm a slut wannabe.
Of course. See, I love it. It's sexual liberation, right? I love people who are, I can't remember what the movement's called, but it's like anti-slut shaming. There's an anti-slut shaming movement out there, and I just love it. I get fired up when I hear it.
I decided that men are the only sluts anyway. You think about it, right?
Totally.
The onus is always put on women, and I don't understand that whatsoever,
It's interesting because thinking back when in my teen years and early 20s, like I would be terrified to sleep with a guy because I felt like if we did, I would lose something of myself. Yeah. I never knew where that feeling came from, but it always felt like I was giving myself away. And it's like, why can't I be like a man where I just have an enjoyable physical experience and then part ways? It didn't feel like that. It's like I was morally tainted because I had it. It's bizarre.
We're groomed that way.
Right? Mm-hmm. I believe it.
Yeah, for sure. So it's nice to ungroom ourselves.
Yeah, right? It's like, burn the bra. No.
One of the things too, I was just thinking about comedy, like it's so, there's such a wide range of comedians and styles and, whatever. I don't like all comedy. I don't like.
That's fair.
People
I don't think you should.
No, I don't like dropping the F-bomb all the time or using the C word. Those are words I can say on stage, like as part of vagina monologues, but not in my everyday life. And when I do comedy, it's part of my everyday life, as I'm sure you
Yeah, I do stick to my truth. Yeah, absolutely.
Sure, And I like that though. I think it should be like that. But people will sometimes say to me, "Oh, why are you making fun of whatever it is?" And I wonder if you think the same as me. Like, I think comedy means talking about whatever and putting a funny spin on it.
Absolutely. Life is fun. What I feel about what humor is to me is, and this is how I describe it in class, humor is a very natural human thing because it's the way we deal with pain. It's the way we deal with frustration and discomfort and all these things we otherwise feel like we can't talk about. And that's the, we talk about comedy as building tension, and the releasing tension is the laughter. That tension is the stuff we can't say, won't identify, don't call out the white elephant in the room, all that kind of stuff. And finally that release is finally like, this is so awful. So, I think the comedy I've enjoyed is not so much character, funny, weird stuff. It's more so true to life, true to form. This is how it is. This is what my experience is. It might not be everybody's truth, but it's just, and that's the lovely thing about listening to so many comedians. It's like, wow, no, you really went through an experience. And I think that also points to why it's so important to see such a variety of people on stage, like seeing, I hate calling them minorities because like, they're not minorities, but like essentially non-white people on stage, people that are not heteronormative on stage. Like hearing their experiences is so funny and hilarious, but also like deeply enlightening as to what they go through on a day-to-day basis. I think it's a way to like sympathize with each other and understand each other in a way that's so fucking enjoyable. Hard to find.
Were there comedians that you listened to, whoever they may be, that kind of inspired you, perhaps?
Absolutely. Both famous and also just local comedians have inspired me. I would say I'm a big fan of Bill Burr, which is, there's a couple reasons for that. I say that sheepishly because he has such a thing about women. He's just like, women, like, I'm not saying beat them, but I'm saying there's a reason. I think my fascination with Bill Burr is one, he's just such a strong delivery. He's so solid as a comedian. I've never seen a bad Bill Burr special, which is really something to be said.
Right.
But also that he has a lot of relationship issues that I can really sympathize with. He talks about these really heavy, complicated subjects, which is like a man and a woman trying to have a relationship with each other, which can be just so full of these like psychological weird things, and he's able to articulate it really well. And in stand-up comedy, as you know, you have to be very clear for people to follow you to get that punchline, right? So he does that in stand-up comedy, which is a phenomenal skill. But also that he's just angry. I mean, him, George Carlin were inspirations because they're just, and I felt the same. I felt like I had all these frustrations because I never voiced them in life. So I was like seeing them like, this is the milk. Like it was just, I was so relieving to me. But I also like Robin Williams. I also love Eliza Schlesinger. I hate her last name. But do you notice how they embody characters? Like they go all in, and I love that animation. I think it's so fun to watch.
Right.
And local comics too have inspired me. Like even Paula Howley, how she talks, she's a woman who's just this big, strong sexual energy. And I just find that so empowering and great. And a lot of local comics I like. Oh, one in particular, I'll call him out. Oh God, it's Chris something. Chris.
It'll come to you.
It'll come to me. But he's a local comic in the Canadian scene. And what I love about him is that he never stops the show. He is like, there's this, usually comics, they start the show when they're on the physical stage with the mic in hand, and they're like, thank you, good night. And they pop the mic back in and they leave, right? Yes. And the show ends there. But this guy is, he's like a Robin Williams in the sense that he's like, no, as soon as, even when I'm backstage, I'm going to be like, not to disrupt the show, but for example, when he finished headlining a show, he went to the back of the stage, and we're set up in this like brewery. So the back of the stage is like behind a wall. There's all this stuff and junk and business stuff back there. And he's like, what's this? And he starts carrying out these like barrels and paintings behind the stage as the host is trying to end the show. And the audience was losing it because he's just fun. He's like, he just plays with the props and the stage, and he's like talking to people. He's like, he brings the show out into the audience, and it just feels like such a fourth wall magic moment.
I bet, yeah.
I took inspiration from that because I'm like, he's true to form, a true performer in that sense of the word.
Right. Yeah, I've been watching a few more comedians. I can't even remember their names because, as I get older, I'm losing
no one remembers their names.
But, at night I listen to or use my tablet a lot because I don't sleep well, so I'm always Googling and going on YouTube and listening to whatever. But if comedians come up, I have to listen to them. And someone's like, no, beep.
Yeah, exactly.
But others, when I see, if they can engage me, I like that. That's obviously.
Absolutely.
So, and I don't care what they're talking about necessarily, but lately there's some that have been engaging the audience and just the way they're maybe one person in the audience, but not in a mean way. Because some of the comedians way back in the day could be mean.
Oh, there's still those for sure. I've never appreciated them ever. Not a fan.
Reason for it. If you can't
be
funny without being mean, get off stage.
I agree. I 100% agree. Like there's one thing to be said about standing up to hecklers, but even then I have a line because I just don't think it's necessary personally. But I'm totally with you. Maybe some people do enjoy it. I question their mental health, but yeah, for the comedians and I've seen them on, it's usually these young, pale, thin, angry men. No offense, guys. Actually, full offense, guys. It's usually you. Sorry, you're just mean. You're just bullies. You just get up there and you're just like, I'm cooler than you because I've got a mic. And I'm like, you're power tripping because you probably feel powerless in your own dumb life.
What they, unfortunately, is kind of, they don't realize that they're not going to rise to the top.
Not like that.
No, tell me about your teaching, your classes. Like, is that online again? Is that
this one's in person? So I started I liked mentoring other people into the scene. So I think it started from like a very casual. I got so many of my my friends that wanted to be actors too, and they were kind of struggling. But then I was like, you got to try stand up. So I've gotten a few people into that. I even have a coaching appointment with an actor friend after this interview. But I decided like. Once I moved to Calgary, there was a young woman that I made friends with, and she and I are so alike. And she was offered to teach a class, but she felt like that fraud syndrome. So she's like, no, I can't. Like, nah. I'm like, let's do it together. I think it would be fun. So we taught a Type 5 comedy is what we called it. So it was like your first Type 5 minutes, and we had a few students. It wasn't a lot, but it went really well. And then I was asked, because of that class, I was asked by this like seniors group, and it's an acting club or performance club for seniors, and they do all these different things, improv, acting, stage, all these things. And they're like, we want a stand-up class. So it's a 6-week class, and it's week 3 next week, and they're already like coming along so great. Like there's so much good stuff to say.
That's so nice. Now, have you seen somebody, and because it often happens that like there'll be one person who's outstanding.
I would say, yes, there was a gentleman, because, and I reward this so much. He had emailed me before the first class and said, oh, well, I'm not sure what to expect, but I have something prepared if I can perform it. And I'm like, you want to perform the first class? 100% yes. And sure enough, like, I mean, we had the first class, which was mostly like writing jokes, trying out, getting to know each other. And then the second class, I'm like, okay, we're going to get right into performance time now. And because he had that first one under his belt, I even told him after he performed his piece, I'm like, you're ready for open mic. Like that's a solid set to start with. And so it's cool. I mean, stand-up comedy, you can't get better unless you do it, right?
Yeah, I agree. As scary as it is, if you don't get up there and try, and I was about hecklers who's like, oh, you're not that good. Well, get up here.
Right? It's like, you have no idea.
Yeah, exactly. You're too afraid to get up here. So therefore you're going to make fun of somebody who's up there. Like that's what.
Oh, exactly. Exactly. What's her name? Ali Wong is a big inspiration for this. Like this is how a professional comedian works. She would perform up to like 3 to 6 shows a night, every night for years. She lived in New York, so that was really helpful because they have a lot of shows. In Canada, it's like you have to drive like 25 years to get to the next room. But for her, she performs so frequently that even on her wedding night, there's a picture of this. She got married, and before going on her honeymoon, where she'd actually take her first break, she's like, I gotta do one last set. And she's like in her gown. It's like, lady, get a life.
How would people get a hold of you if they wanted to either get onto your coach classes or the comedy?
Everything's mainly social media these days. So, and that seems to be the way people communicate. So Facebook, I'm very responsive. I'm always online. I'm very social on social media. So Instagram and Facebook are the best ones. I am on TikTok as well. I had made one video like a year ago that popped off. So it's like, I've got 16,000 followers that never talk to me, but hey, there you go. But anyways, I am on TikTok, but I communicate via Facebook and Instagram. So Instagram is at It's Anina, and Facebook is Nina Wilder.
Okay, sounds great then. Well, we're going to end it there. This has been fun. Thank you.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. Just stay on camera. To the audience, thank you for watching the show, and go check out Nina's, find out about her classes. If you ever had an ambition, I just want to say, you're never too old to do comedy. Never too old. So check it out. Maybe you might have some, or if you're in need of some fitness, well, we can all use it. I don't mean need. want some fitness. Yeah. Go check that out as well. Get a hold of Nina Wilder. So thank you everybody for watching the show. I'm getting some subscribers, which is fun. Finally, it's taken a while.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks everybody, and peace out.
Peace.
A sense of community till the wax a place to be. A sense of community when you're free. Rolling through the mountains, rolling through the valley, rolling through paradise with me. It's multicultural, you're sure to see it all. Chilliwack's the place to be, you'll see. Come party in the park, go dancing after dark. Chilliwack's the place to be, you'll see.